drugs are right next to the school.
They're
Right,
already locking
right.
you, delivering their kids to the door.
And I think that that's the truth, that people are just not willing to really swallow. It's like people live with these glasses on their eyes and just think that, you know, their life is the way everyone lives their lives, and it's not true. And you want to be in comfort, and you want to have your own bubble, and you want to believe that everything's hunky-dory, and it's not. And it just continues to, you know, build that stigma against addiction and not providing, you know, recovery and resources. And so, you know, I'm not a pessimistic person. I saw that door closed, but I believe that there's going to be a door opening soon. And I really think that we're onto something. And for myself, like, I've been out of practice for the last 6 months, and it's been the best and the worst time of my life because I haven't been always connected to people. And when I'm not connected to people, it's really lonely. And like, I was like pouring myself out to people every day, and I was connected to people every day. And then now I'm like, you know, now my kids are back in school, and I'm like with my dogs every day. I'm like, okay, I gotta make a change. I gotta reconnect to people. So my energy kind of stopped pouring into the committee, and I backed away for a while. But now I'm ready to get back into it, and I think there are a lot of people that have a lot of experience and a lot of amazing ideas, and I think that's why we had this today. 6 months or 8 months later, we wanted to revisit this with new, fresh faces and more information, more dialogue for those of you that didn't get to come in January. But this is not the end. This is just the beginning, and I hope that you guys can, you know, Angelique was talking about, being that person that people can call. Well, we want to be that person that can support her, because that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. And you know, I'm not a recovering addict, so I don't have the same voice that she does or that some of you do. But I can be, you know, a different resource, and we can come alongside of her and support her and provide other ways, other avenues of support for people.
Brandon, weren't you working with a police initiative or something in Bloomington?
Lead law enforcement diversion. Yeah, we're gonna.
I'm sorry, but that's real. I just really would like the policemen, our law enforcement officers to.
Yeah, I can give them information. I'll get their emails after this and email mine. But I want to say something about harm reduction real quick, because I wrote this down, but I didn't get a chance to say it. It's not enabling. Well, if you want to call it enabling, it enables people to breathe, it enables people to stay alive, it enables people to protect themselves and their communities from HIV, Hep C. It enables people, them to feel like they have someone to talk to. It enables meaningful connection. It enables access to treatment. And when ready, if that makes me an enabler, then I will take that tag all day long, because that's compassion.
Yeah, I think we did bring that at one time, and there was something that we had to have so many people that had HIV to get it or something. You remember that,
Give
Mary?
the number
Yeah.
of the people.
The needle exchange.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
needle exchange.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like something that might dovetail with the HIV
Yeah.
testing.
Yeah. October 24th is the next free HIV
So maybe we
vaccine.
could get somebody to come and talk about
I
it.
want to point out, though, that's harm reduction. Narcan's harm reduction. So you don't need a needle exchange to start harm reduction in this community. You can get a grant, get some Narcan, you can do HIV testing, and you can call that a harm reduction center. You're doing a harm reduction center right now.
Well, he is, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
true.
harm reduction.
But we do also, but the consciousness isn't there for
But the only
harm
way to get it
reduction.
there
The
is
consciousness is still punishment, and they, and they, and they.
It's like you said, though, we have to operate our laws and we have to respect the police. Like, I get that, we have to do that, but we also have to, like, if you don't start somewhere, you're not gonna be able to get anywhere. You have to start where you're at. We can't start where Bloomington's at in Greencastle. You gotta start with what he's doing and what Narcan trainings, and then people like this start having dialogue with us, and then we can change their
But also you can start locally with not arresting for having one needle. Isn't that all?
They have to arrest right now because it is the law. It's their job to arrest them.
laws, Marion.
Yeah, it's not
We
their
don't
fault.
have prosecutorial authority to not file. That's the prosecutor's job. We just enforce the laws. That's not our decision. Only the prosecutor can decide what to do. That's his choice exclusively. We don't have that option.
But Indiana did pass a law that if your Hep C rates are at a certain level, you are allowed to open it. Your health department can oversee a needle exchange. So you guys need to
You
research
need
your
to
Hep
come
C
to our health
rates.
department.
Then you gotta go to your health department and you need to work with them and they can do it.
Kurt, are you in the health department?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. So we have all these entities that do all this stuff. Do we have a centralized hub that can make contact or know of all these spokes? Because some of these things I've never heard of before,
Like,
like whatever.
Yeah.
What was it, bridges out of poverty or
Okay,
whatever, okay?
Let me
yeah.
tell you all about that.
And I would love to hear about
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because,
Looks like you're not.
It's-
Break recovery.
well, that we know.
Okay.
that's all part of
But-
awareness, yeah, just getting it all out there.
But somebody needs to be this hub
Yeah,
that somebody that's out on the street
mm-hmm,
can go in their moment of clarity, I've got to get help, and here's this hub. And make them walk in that door and go, I need help. And they can sit down with somebody and say, okay, here's who we can contact.
right,
Because we have all these people spinning all these wheels
mm-hmm.
going in the same direction but different paths. We need a hub, is what I'm seeing from out here.
Totally.
We need a hub.
We do, we do.
Absolutely.
And I
That-
think
that's-
we.
we've-
oh, go
I've-
ahead.
I've reported that for years, okay?
Yeah.
We do, I'm invested, Angela's invested, we're invested, okay?
Right.
But we need the mothership
Yeah,
Right.
to when somebody gets out of prison. And
So
what
are we
do I
gonna about
do? He can go here
Right.
and say, let's get you a room in a safe house and do Bridges Out of Poverty, it's starting up in
Right.
2 weeks, and then move from there to a
Right.
community, yeah, cool,
So where do we
So-
find this hub?
we'll do it.
So the great
Okay.
thing, is that we don't have to reinvent that wheel. You have
Right.
a great idea, and there are other communities that are doing that, which we are connected with. So the hope is that they can kind of mentor this hub.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Go to Martinsville, okay,
Right.
and start researching their community action stuff, okay? They've got a hub. They've got like, geez, they have, dang it, where is it?
He'll be back.
Huh?
He went back.
Oh, doggone
the
it!
task force is
But
over.
dude, please, go to Martinsville.
We allowed him.
I worked through the Martinsville Christian Church because I wanted to find out what they did, because the guy that wrote the book, Toxic Charity, they've used that book as a model, so all the, like pantries, okay, food pantries, paying your electric bill or paying your water bill, there's an exchange that goes on. There's one central location that if you need your electric bill paid, you go to this place, and the guy will say something like, okay, we understand crisis, but we don't want this to happen again, so we'll pay your electric bill, but now you need to prove to us that you attended all 9 lessons of Financial Peace University, okay? Or, it's really cool, clothes closets, all the support services, there's, are you familiar with it?
No.
Oh, it's cool,
Just agree.
but they've got,
No,
they've
I'm shaking
got,
my head no.
they've got,
Oh.
I think they
Strings. You
bought a
want
strip
strings
mall.
attached.
Too many did,
They,
go ahead.
they bought a strip mall,
Uh-huh.
and they have a men's shelter, they have a women's shelter, they've got 3 or 4 single-family dwellings that once you move out of there's requirements, there's accountability, it's not, they're not dehumanizing people by just keep giving to them, it's, you need to exchange, you need to.
We did our own resource building.
Yeah, sell forth stuff. So anyway, let me suggest, go to Martinsville and start scoping out what they've done down there. It's really cool.
Thank you.
How about Golden Basin?
So, Bridges Out of Poverty is not actually a thing, it's under Transformers now
Yeah.
through GOVA. And I feel like we have come so far in the infrastructure to begin doing these things, because we've got the talks, the mentoring program in Greencastle High School, South Putnam, and Silverdale, the Getting Ahead program, folks here can talk about that. And I mean, as in my role, I also understand this kind of need to consolidate. I mean,
Yeah.
I hear this all the time, so I feel like progress has been made. But yeah, I mean, I'm on the bandwagon too. But I will say, because Danielle, you almost started the answer, but isn't Danielle the new president of the
Yes,
Substance
she
Abuse
is.
Committee?
Yep.
It's gonna help with get us there, so
So-
there we go.
I was gonna say, we had talked about making, that there's a resource sheet, the green sheet, or the pink sheet, or the yellow sheet, whatever it was.
It was
Whatever.
orange at the housing authority.
There you go. So it needs to be updated, and
I think it
needs
was.
to be, but Bridges Out of Poverty,
Oh, okay.
Transformers isn't on there. Like,
Okay.
so things that we're talking about today,
Yeah.
that connection with all the resources available. A lot of times, so Family Support Services is a great agency that, you know, helps people, and they connect people with other resources. You know, the two community mental health places in our community connect. The caseworkers work with a lot of different agencies. There's work being done. It's just like you said, we don't always know what everyone's doing, and so, you know, I think we're getting a little bit better, but there's definitely movement towards getting a lot better.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
Brandon mentioned getting Narcan training. I will tell you that we have 2 officers on our agency that are certified trainers in Narcan. So if you would contact Assistant Chief Ryan Hopkins with our police department, I texted him because he's in the back room. There is no charge to it. And we've had we have a really good relationship with Ivy Tech community here in our community, and they allow us the use of their building to hold those classes. So if you are interested in our community, or know someone that needs a training or a group that would like to get training in it, just contact him at the Greencastle Police Department at 765-653-2925, and you can coordinate it through him. Ryan Hopkins.
That's impressive that you just have that number. Like, who even knows their own phone number these days?
So,
Well,
okay,
that's
I
the
have a
police
question.
department phone number. I'll let him give his cell phone out, I'm not gonna do that.
So I have a question, the Narcan, I know that he had done a class before, and he can't do the syringe Narcan, how come?
I don't know,
Pharmacies don't make any money.
well,
Because we can get that
I'll
for
be honest
free.
with you, I don't want our officers carrying the syringe because of the needles and the
Yeah.
issues of dirty needles and what have you.
Right.
What we utilize is the nasal spray,
Yeah.
and it's just correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's a milligram or whatever it is in each nostril.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm just saying that because we could get it free, you know, to
Right.
give to people,
Yeah.
if we can train them to use it.
Yeah,
Brandon
we've
knows
had
about
three
that, he's
trainings
trained
here.
before,
There's
the
probably
syringes.
8 trainings
Thank you.
here.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When I was here, it was last January, I believe, you guys were, I was sitting out there and you guys were talking about this needle exchange program. And I was so against it. I thought, we don't need a needle exchange program here in this county. I was more wanting a halfway house or something along those lines, was where my interest was. And since last January, I have talked to a lot of people, mostly women in recovery, that we really do need a needle exchange because it's horrific how many times they use a needle, one after another after another. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, and like Brandon stated earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brandon, but that's gotta come from our Board of Health, right? Yeah.
The Board of Health has to open it, but you can oversee, like, so, in Bloomington, the Board of Health runs it, but the IRA is contracted with them, so you can, as long as they're overseeing it, you can have another entity running it. That's true, that's the only way, it's the only way to do it in Indiana, they won't let, the health departments have to run them, have to at least oversee them.
If we
It's
pay
out
for
there.
it ourselves, we wouldn't have to have a certain high number of,
No, you still have to, because it's
you
state
still
law.
have to do it.
Yeah, it's state law that the health departments, but the health departments in most counties.
They won't mess with us,
They
they
won't
won't
mess
do
with
anything.
Yeah, Well,
don't have
when-
a problem.
It depends on how, the numbers, we discussed the numbers, you gotta really get your data together in order to approach someone like that.
Justin even tried to give him a grant for, naloxone, and she sent her.
Well, if your guys'
Let it
Hep C rate's at a certain level, they can't say, they have to let you. So if it's at the mark that the governor set, or the Indiana state legislator set, then you guys have they can't say no if it's a health crisis.
Do you
That's
know
their
how
job.
much Hep C we've got? I mean, do you know the statistics?
That's what we need to start
That we have
researching.
so much trouble getting numbers.
It's just like the guy, like if you remember last year when he came up with the 4 points the governor did, and he talked about that we know people are overdosing, but the problem is coroners weren't marking it right, and they weren't tracking it right? So while they know that there are all these overdose deaths, they can't funnel money towards it until they know the exact data. It's just like that in corporations where I work, right? Like you can tell your directors and vice presidents all day long what's going on down here, but it's better if you take them the facts and the numbers. They're more apt to listen because they're numbers people. So you have to have all your ducks in a row. Because I'm like that. I'm like I'm ready. Fire aim, right? That's how I work. But I've learned the hard way. You've got to get the research together. Walk in and say, this is the Indiana state law. Here's where we're at. You have to let us. Now let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Here's the numbers. And here's how much it's going to save our county. And then start out with Narcan and HIV testing instead, until you can add that component.
I think we do need to also say that, you know, I know now that the pharmacy, the Purdue,
Kroger's and.
it's finally, after almost 30 years, starting to hold them accountable. But I think it's important that people realize that those who created the opioid crisis, beginning with Valium, beginning with Percocet, beginning years ago, are now finally having to pay for it, but they're also, the price of naloxone has gone up and up and up and up. They're also making a lot of money on the recovery. So we, you know, on a whole other level, I know we can't change the laws and we can't do this, but we need to be aware that there are still people making a lot of bucks on this opioid crisis. And that awareness, you know, all those people are finally starting to, I don't like people saying those people, excuse me. The Purdue Pharmacy are finally having to be fined, but it's kind of like bailing out the big banks, you know. The price of naloxone for the needles is like, $14, and the price for the inhalers is way up there. So it's like the EpiPens and everything else.
That's why I think.
There are still people profiting from this opioid crisis on a lot of levels, and we need to be aware of this, and that's why we need a community to deal with it from literally the grassroots.
Right. That's why I think maybe we should get Justin to come and do a training on the needle exchange, or the needle syringes for Narcan, so we can pass that out, because, you know, there's families out there that could use the naloxone that don't have the money to pay for it.
And our government people, when I talk about it, they say, well, it's too expensive. And you know, it's just like, okay, how much money is your son's?
You know, there's a standing order at CVS's, and we also passed another law where your insurance, you can walk in and get Narcan now.
My insurance.
Naloxone. With your insurance, just say I need Narcan.
Well,
You can, I'm letting you guys all know.
Yeah.
You guys can walk in 2 days to your pharmacy and give them your insurance and say you need Narcan. You'll get some stigma in some of them. Like people will look at you a little crazy and say something.
I mean, I carry it.
Yeah.
And I pass it. If I know somebody, then I know somebody that needs it. I give it away, and then I get it.
Yeah.
But it's still, we shouldn't have to do that. I mean, we shouldn't have to do that because it's expensive. I mean, I don't like an answer from a government official when I say we're giving a naloxone training. He said, well, that's too expensive and it has an expiration date and all this kind of thing. I know we're working on it and we're educating people, but it's just people need to be aware that it's, you know, the anarchist.
Okay, we're gonna,
One more
go ahead.
question. Mr. Sutherland. What is the experience that you guys have finding needles just all over the ground in Putnam County?
We've had a couple of complaints here in our community. this year alone, I think I've documented 2 or 3 calls just throughout the community where a citizen will be walking along and find one along the sidewalk. Does it happen very often? No. No, we're finding a lot more